The challenges facing children in the UK today can often feel overwhelming. Both William and I have seen that many young people are struggling to cope with the impact of bullying.
It was not supposed to be recorded. There is no official live stream. There is no media coverage. No transcripts have been provided on the royal website. The occasion was supposed to be private, intimate even. A group of charity leaders, hospital staff, and a few select visitors were invited to Kensington Palace for a closed conversation on resilience and community. It was low-key, off the radar. Catherine, Princess of Wales, made another quiet and dutiful presence. Then came the speech. Everything changed. It was recorded by someone in the room who has yet to be identified. A blurry vertical video, shot from the back row, shows the princess standing in a pale blue outfit with neither script or notes. It's just her voice, only her heart, just a message the world didn't expect to hear. And when that footage was posted online, the internet erupted. Millions watched in disbelief. Kate spoke of loss, motherhood, and feeling the weight of a family that does not belong to just itself, but to a nation. She spoke about Queen Elizabeth II, whom she called my North Star when duty felt too heavy, and Princess Diana, saying she showed the world that compassion belongs on the throne. Her remarks were raw, eloquent, and sincere. There's no royal fluff, no polished press copy, just Kate, unfiltered, unguarded, and unforgettable. Within hours, the hashtag #QueenKate was trending in more than a dozen nations. Celebrities retweeted the video, journalists shared it, and royal watchers analyzed each frame individually. People weren't simply complimenting her delivery, they dubbed it the moment Britain saw its next queen. But not everyone was satisfied. Inside the palace, fear spread. Copyright claims were issued. Palace aides hurried to contact platforms, demanding that the video be removed. Queen Camilla was alleged to be livid behind closed doors, calling the clip reckless and unapproved. According to sources, she feared Kate's statements, as well as the global reaction, jeopardized the monarchy's power balance. However, it was too late. The video had already gone viral. The folks had already witnessed it, and the palace's attempts to hush it simply emphasized the point. Kate Middleton had spoken something the monarchy would never have dared say, and it triggered a reaction that the royal family did not expect. Because in a place designed for a few ears only, a princess rose up and spoke like a queen, and the world listened. Camilla didn't forget. It wasn't meant to be memorable. The event was regular, almost invisible by royal standards. A private reception at Kensington Palace, hosted in collaboration with numerous frontline charities that promote mental health, grief, and recovery programs. A small guest list. There's no press pool. A few photographs are scheduled for formal release. There's nothing more. The idea was that Catherine, Princess of Wales, would shake hands, offer polite support, and perhaps make a few quick remarks vetted by the communications staff. Standard, safe, predictable. However, as guests mingled in the gentle illumination of the great reception room, something changed. At the end of the evening, as applause for a student speaker faded and people began gathering their coats, one of the event coordinators casually asked Catherine if she wanted to say a few words, just a few off the cuff. She looked to her teammates. They paused, then she nodded. What happened next would be unforgettable for everyone in that room. There were no lecterns. There's no script, no teleprompter. Kate walked forward carefully, clasping her hands in front of her, her face calm, but plainly emotional. Her voice was soft when she spoke, but within seconds, the entire audience fell silent in reverence. I wasn't supposed to speak tonight, she explained, smiling sweetly. But sometimes silence feels like a missed opportunity. The following 6 minutes were completely unscripted, but as one guest subsequently stated, they felt like they'd been written in history. She discussed loss, both personal and national. She mused about the Queen's death and the void left behind. But what surprised everyone was how she described herself, not as a queen, but as a woman, a wife, and a mother. We don't always talk about how heavy it can feel, she told me. Pressure to smile, to represent, to keep it all together. even when everything feels frail inside. Attendees described the moment she glanced down, took a breath, and then added, "There were days when I didn't think I could handle the weight of this role. I'd remember something the Queen once told me. Duty is not always grand. Sometimes it's as simple as choosing to get back up." According to two attendees, several people in the room wiped their tears. Some people stood astonished, as if they had heard a king talk in a way that felt profoundly human. Not elevated, not distant, but deeply, recognizably real. She complimented the workmen for showing up when no one was looking. She stated that service is what you give when you are at your lowest point. She described motherhood as the world's most private courage, and stated that she found strength in letters addressed to her by survivors of tragedy, which she kept in a drawer above her bed. There were no major statements, no slogans, simply pure, unscripted grace. "We all carry invisible weights," she stated, "but we can also be each other's light," and that is when it happened. A hushed shuffle in the back of the room. Someone, possibly a guest or a younger staff member, had taken out their phone. They did not aim to cause harm. They simply knew they were watching something that shouldn't be missed. They set a record. That shaky, grainy footage, shot just minutes before the event's official finale, sparked a viral tempest that the palace had not anticipated. Within 24 hours, it was anonymously uploaded on X, previously Twitter. Within 48 hours, it had spread everywhere, from TikTok to morning news shows to commentary that dissected every pause and intonation. People did not only admire what she stated, they sensed it. For many, it signified a line in the sand. This was not the Princess of Wales speaking. This was a queen-in-waiting taking on her destiny. She had not planned it. The palace had not approved it. But in that quiet chamber, for only a few minutes, Kate Middleton showed the world what true royalty looks like. Not rehearsed, not orchestrated, simply real. 4-0. The speech was memorable not because of its magnificence. It didn't make headlines. It wasn't the setting, surprise, or hidden recording that made it public. It was the words, raw, unpolished, vulnerable, the type of words that royals are not supposed to utter. The video, however blurry and dim, captured a moment that felt completely out of place. Kate Middleton demolished royal expectations in 6 minutes and established something stronger: connection. The speech was not written for applause. It was not built for palace optics. Yet, it affected millions because it came from the one thing people have long begged their royals for: honesty. Kate delivered it without a script, without filters, and without fear. "Some days I feel like I'm not enough as a mother, not enough as a wife, not enough of a symbol." The words echoed, not in Windsor or Parliament, but in living homes, hospitals, hostels, and kitchens where people pause to listen. "I'm discovering that strength isn't silence. It's standing up as your knees tremble. It's allowing folks to see the flaws while yet moving forward." The video sparked an immediate and visceral reaction on social media. Within hours, comments flooded in. "This is the first time I've ever cried watching a royal. That speech healed something I didn't know needed healing. Diana would be so proud." Britain was hardly the only country that replied. The world listened. In Canada, newsreaders quoted her live on air. In Australia, early morning shows showed the entire clip. In the United States, popular podcasts analyzed her tone, word choice, and body language. Everywhere, the same message was repeated: this woman is not playing queen. She is already one. Kate's remarks were more striking than any coronation vow and more relatable than any palace statement, tearing through years of solemn, emotionally guarded royal traditions. She did not make any declarations. She invited empathy. She did not uplift herself. She stood beside them. Perhaps the most replayed scene was this. "The Queen told me once, 'Your quiet will be louder than your words,' but I needed to talk today because quiet has been excessively loud for too long." It was a lightning strike, a moment when the monarchy's past, present, and future all came together in one woman's voice, and for the first time in years, it felt like the crown was not above the people. It was right next them. Kate did not ask for a crown that night. She did not mention it. However, in the court of popular opinion, it had already been placed on her head because genuine strength does not shout. It whispers, but nevertheless moves mountains. By the next morning, The video had surpassed 1 million views. By lunchtime, it had been translated into 7 languages. By the end of the week, it had been viewed over 40 million times, and only on public platforms. There was no joy inside Buckingham Palace, however. There's no quiet pride. No mention of what many were already calling the most important royal speech since Diana. Instead, there was panic. When the video gathered traction, palace officials rushed into damage control. What the rest of the world perceived as raw and revolutionary, the firm saw as unauthorized and destabilizing. This was not part of the approved communication plan. It had not been examined, edited, or approved by the Royal Press Office. It had not been vetted by protocol, nor did it fit with the palace's carefully nurtured message of unity and order. For them, it was more than just a popular video. It was an unauthorized transition in power. Orders were immediate and direct. Take it down. Royal lawyers issued a flurry of copyright infringement notifications. Platforms such as YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, now X, were approached directly. Clips were flagged. Some were taken down. News outlets were issued stern warnings. Refrain from rebroadcasting the content in full. Behind closed doors, aides argued about the damage. Some saw the speech as a public relations miracle, providing the crown with the much-needed humanizing moment. Others, particularly those closest to Queen Camilla, interpreted it as a dangerous breach of hierarchy. According to many royal insiders, Camilla was outraged, not only because the speech went viral, but also because of how Kate was depicted thereafter. It made her look like the true queen, one person stated. That was the problem. Camilla allegedly demanded to know why the speech was not pre-cleared, who leaked the footage, and why more serious legal action was not already underway. There were even speculations that the Queen Consort believed the film had been purposefully leaked by Kate's team, something insiders close to the Princess of Wales strenuously rejected. In reality, no one knows who pressed record, and given the palace's fixation with control, the unknown fueled turmoil more than the speech itself. The irony, of course, was immediate. The more they attempted to remove the video, the faster it spread. Clips were saved, downloaded, and mirrored. Reaction videos flooded TikTok. Royal enthusiasts edited the speech to include photos of Diana and the Queen. One fan-made version, combined with the soundtrack from The Crown, received over 10 million views in a single weekend. Kate remained mute. She did not repost the tape. She did not make any comments. She did not correct or rejoice. Despite the palace's attempts to control the narrative, her silence added to her mystery and made her appear calm and queenly. The difference was remarkable. As royal officials tried to put the genie back in the bottle, the populace began to wonder, why would they want this video removed unless it exposed the truth? The truth is too powerful. The truth is too honest. A truth that no decree, procedure, or public relations machinery could contain. Kate had spoken, and the world had heard. And now, not even the palace could stop it. Camilla's rage boiled beneath the surface of the palace, like a volcano protected by gold and ritual. She did not erupt in public. She did not issue any statements. However, individuals in the royal inner circle were well aware that Queen Camilla was furious. Not just because the video of Kate's speech went viral, not even because the public had reacted so overwhelmingly positively. It was because, in a short of days, Catherine had accomplished something Camilla had spent nearly 2 decades attempting to do. She had captured the people's hearts without asking for it. Worse still, she had not even tried. Camilla had always understood that her role in the monarchy was conditional. She was never embraced like Diana, never adored. Her journey to acceptance had been lengthy, strategic, and at times terribly slow. She had followed the palace's guidelines, worked through the shadows. She waited her turn. And just when she had relaxed into her role as Queen Consort, Kate Middleton stole the show with a single, unscripted moment. Within days of the speech going viral, reports circulated that Camilla had gathered her most trusted aides for an emergency private meeting. One of the main agenda items? How to regain control of the story. a royal aide allegedly overheard Camilla snapping, "She is not queen. She's not even prepared for it." The bitterness was unmistakable. According to some sources, Camilla pushed for a swift reshuffling of public appearances, insisting on fresh engagements, carefully managed press pictures, and official messaging that repositioned her and Charles at the top of the royal hierarchy. But nothing worked. Catherine had the audience's full attention. The nation had already decided where their eyes would rest. Camilla was mainly concerned about institutional reverence rather than public favor. More and more servants and junior courtiers were secretly referring to Kate as the monarchy's steadying presence inside the palace. She'd become the unofficial voice of continuity, the one royal who bridged generational gaps and made the crown feel human again. Camilla could feel the tide changing. According to many reports, the relationship between the two royal women had been strained for years, polite but never close. However, following the video, the tension became frosty. Days later, during a state luncheon, their relationship was described as frosted glass, pleasant to the eye but chilly to the touch. Camilla made no public reaction about the speech, but her silence spoke volumes. Behind the scenes, reports circulated that she had warned King Charles about losing control of the narrative and being sidelined within his own reign. Charles apparently tried to mediate, but his illness and exhaustion left little energy for royal drama. He opted for quiet diplomacy, advocating calm on both sides. Kate did not retaliate. She kept her dignity. She grinned as expected. Her next public talk was delivered off a teleprompter with restraint, professionalism, and meticulous preparation. But the harm was done. Not in Kate's image. Go to Camilla's. The queen consort now stood in the shadow of a future queen who had done the unthinkable, earned the people's allegiance without their consent. And Camilla, she could feel it. In the eyes of the world, and possibly even the palace, she was no longer the queen who mattered. She still had the title, but Kate had something far more deadly: the crown without any ceremony, and love without a fight. For days after the speech went viral and the palace sought to control the damage, Prince William made no public statements, not because he was unaware, not because he remained unaffected, but William, like his mother before him, understands that in the royal family, time is everything. Those closest to the heir, however, say he was furious behind closed doors, not at Kate, at the palace. And if rumors are true, at Camilla. William had witnessed his wife weather a tempest of newspaper speculation, public scrutiny, and private strain with unshakable dignity. He had seen how hard she tried to safeguard their children, balance royal demands, and remain calm in the face of illness, betrayal, and the cold shoulder of court politics. And now, after everything, she is being punished for being loved? According to one assistant, William confronted senior royal aides immediately after takedown warnings were given to the platforms that hosted the speech. His voice was calm, but the message was very clear: "You will not silence my wife." For the first time in years, William actively criticized the palace's media arm, and it represented a shift, not only in tone, but also in strategy. He was no longer willing to play the role of submissive heir in order to protect Catherine. Shortly after the altercation, William announced an unexpected adjustment to his forthcoming public appearance: a charity event for child mental health. What had been a quick solo appearance was altered. Kate was added to the schedule. During the occasion, in front of dozens of media, William discussed the strength it takes to speak when no one expects it. "I'm proud of my wife every day," he continued, stopping. "But some days, I'm in awe of her." The room erupted with applause. It was a subtle but unambiguous pledge of loyalty. William was not merely defending Kate, he was elevating her. He wanted the world to know he was standing behind the woman his mother would have adored, the woman the Queen had quietly entrusted with the monarchy's destiny, and the woman the nation already recognized as their queen. And the public? They answered in kind. Polls showed an increase in support for the Waleses. The editorials commended William's calm strength and emotional intelligence. Headlines proclaimed him a king in waiting, but a husband first. More than public opinion, something fundamental changed. Inside the royal institution, where authority has long superseded humanity, William had conveyed a clear, direct, and unmistakable message: Kate isn't alone. She is not an accessory. She is not below you. She represents the future. Even if you try to suppress her brightness, you will find me standing in its path. Diana's former tenacity was evident, the same steadiness Elizabeth had formerly possessed. And now, William was taking it forward, not in rage, but in defense of the woman who had carried so much for so long without asking for anything in return. He did not need to raise his voice. He did not need to fight in public. All he needed to do was stand beside her. And by doing so, he reminded the world, legacy is not inherited, it is defended, and he'd defend hers with everything he had. The palace attempted to bury it. They issued takedown notices, strengthened media regulations, and scrambled to restore established hierarchies. However, the damage, or more accurately, transformation, had already begun. Because in a society overloaded with royal show, Kate Middleton did what no crown, title, or press release ever could. She talked from her heart, and the world did not simply hear her, they felt her. The speech, unpolished and unplanned, became the moment millions would remember as the day the monarchy began to shift, quietly and irreversibly, from splendor to function. In 6 minutes, the Princess of Wales pierced through the contrived coldness that frequently accompanies the institution. She reminded them that vulnerability is the source of strength, that kingship is meaningless without service, and that true grace is lived rather than done. She did not mention the throne. She did not call herself a queen. But she didn't need to, because when the video went viral and hashtags like #QueenKate, #TheRealCrown, and #KateForThePeople flooded timelines around the world, the public had already made their choice. She wasn't simply the future, she represented the present moment. The palace may have panicked. Camilla may have reacted angrily. Advisors may have whispered. What about the people? They were watching. They listened, and they noticed something they hadn't seen in a very long time. A monarch is defined by authenticity, not ritual. Kate never addressed the viral video. She never defended it, explained it, or mentioned the storm it caused. She did not need to, because when she concluded that unscripted speech, standing alone with nothing but her voice and her truth, she walked into something bigger than any title could bestow, a tranquil reign. And as history has repeatedly demonstrated, even the most powerful queens are not usually crowned with gold. Some are crowned with courage. Some are motivated by compassion. Some, like Kate, are crowned in the hearts of the people. The palace may have attempted to remove the video. However, they were unable to remove what it disclosed. Not merely a future queen. However, the world had already made its choice. The speech did not end the monarchy. It saved it. And it achieved something much more remarkable. It crowned a queen without using a throne.